Hey everyone, welcome to episode 9 of Learning with Leary, presented by TheFloatLife. I'm your host, Jake Leary, and today I'm going to be talking about something that affects almost every aspect of riding and is really going to be a building block for understanding a lot of the techniques in my upcoming videos. What's this? It's a shoe. Why is there a shoe on the floor? Well, I want to point out that when you're standing on one foot, you're mainly worried about tipping over to your left or your right side. You're much more stable toe to heel because of the shape of your foot and the muscles that control your ankles. And that means that when you're standing on one foot, you want to keep your arms out to the side for balance. Having 2 feet planted is completely different. You're really stable between your left and your right foot, and if anything, now you're worried about tipping over towards your toes or your heels. This introduces a new move that was not really helpful in balancing on one foot, which is putting one or both arms out in front of you. You can also put your arms behind you, but this is not common because it's a lot more natural to put them out in front, and you can pretty easily drive weight back by jutting your hips out instead of your arms. This is basically the case riding a one wheel because you have 2 feet planted and you're mostly concerned with balancing between your toes and your heels. But you do have 2 different ways to use your body to balance in this direction. The first, we just talked about, is to keep your knees, hips, and shoulders parallel, in line with the board, and if you need to balance out towards your toes, move your arms toe side, and if you need to move weight towards your heels, you push your hips back. The second way is to turn your upper body to face where you're going and to move your arms out like you would when you're balancing on one foot. So what's the difference between these 2 methods, and when would you want to do one rather than the other? Getting your arms out like a tightrope walker will help you in moments of precision balance. The reason that your arms are so helpful for balance is because you can move them in any direction really quickly. But they don't weigh very much, so it really helps to get them out across the balance point in order to get more leverage. If you're riding down a sidewalk that's 6 feet wide, you don't need to put a lot of effort into balancing if you know how to ride a one wheel. But when you try to ride on a skinny section, now you need to be precise with your steering. Even veering a couple inches could send you into hot lava. So in order to steer straight, you need to put your full effort into balancing, and that's where facing forward and spreading your arms across your balance point can really help. Usually, if I need to ride a skinny path, I'll make sure that my arms are out before I even get to it. If I try to ride a narrow path using the squared up method, it just feels awkward and it feels like I can't really use my arms properly and that I have to use my hips instead. Now, of course, holding your arms all the way out will make your shoulders tired pretty quickly, but that's not the main thing you have to worry about when facing forward. When you rotate your shoulders to look forward, you're not going to leave your hips in line with the board and just twist at the spine. That's super awkward. You're going to also rotate your hips to some extent. If you watch any sport that involves upper body rotation, like tennis, baseball, any martial arts, etc., you'll see that if someone rotates their upper body from this position, the foot that they move away from will pivot on the ground. This is not exactly easy or recommended on a one wheel because it'll decrease the stability of the board. If we think about the shape of the foot and the muscles that control it, it's obvious that you have more stability when your feet are perpendicular to the board. If you put them in line, you would have basically 0 control. So if you were to pivot your back foot, not only are you rotating your foot from a perpendicular position, you're also lifting your heel off of the foot pad, which even by itself will decrease stability. So if you do this, you'll basically just be left with your front foot to control the board. What's gonna happen if you rotate your hips forward on a one wheel is you're gonna put some twisting stress on your knee. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, knees don't twist. Elbows twist, knees don't. It would be really bad for your knee if you planted your foot on the ground and spun around and kept your foot planted on the ground. If you're having knee pain from riding, especially if you face forward a lot and your rear knee is hurting, you might notice the pain when you go over bumps and take impacts and think that it's just from the impact, but it likely has a lot to do with the twisting stresses that you're putting on your knee. You can minimize this twisting stress by placing your back foot at a forward angle, and I do ride like this fairly often, but keeping your foot perpendicular will be better for stability, particularly this type of stability you need to be able to ride fast over bumpy terrain, where the bumps in the road are just knocking your tire all over the place. In this case, you want to keep your body relatively quiet and keep your arms ready in a neutral position so that they can move in any direction if you do happen to hit a really bad bump all of a sudden. The smoother the terrain, the more precise of a line you need to take, the more helpful it is to face forward and to use your arms to balance instead of your hips. So turning to face forward can help you balance when you need to prioritize balance over keeping your body in a robust, solid position. And I've mentioned in previous episodes, it can also help you look where you're going, and it can help you run out a nosedive. But if you use this technique, be careful not to twist your knee. Keeping your hips in line with the board is better for your knees, especially if you're expecting any impact, like a drop or a big bump in the road. That's it for this week. If you have any questions about knee pain, foot fatigue, any problems you're having with riding, definitely let me know in the comments section, and I'll see if I can make any recommendations. Anything that I can do to help you guys off the DL, riding more often, longer, with less recovery time, I'd love to help out. Thanks for watching, and as always, float on, my friends.
You stoked to go ride? I'm stoked to go ride. I'm gonna go ride. You should too. But if you're not, definitely subscribe to our channel or check out one of these two videos. I'm gonna go get my stride on.